Do I need a microphone? So good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. It's going to take me 2 seconds. So my name is Edmi Ortiz, and I am from Flamenco, Worcester. And we're here tonight to do a little showcase, 1 hour of flamenco. Just 1 second. So what is flamenco? Flamenco is such a captivating art form, and it enthralls and entices novices to begin a journey of learning. So usually they sign up for a class, and then they freak out. Why? Because it's complicated. It's very intense, it's very passionate. But if we go back to the history of flamenco, what is flamenco? Flamenco stems from hundreds of years of Andalusian. It's the southern region of Spain. History that interplays with Andalusian, Moorish, Jewish, and Gypsy cultures before and after the Reconquest, I'm sorry if I mispronounce any word, of Spain in 1492. But it is from the Gypsies' history that much of flamenco earliest, most profound rhythms come from. So flamenco is, they call it like, it's a salad. We have different ingredients from different cultures. But then the gypsies, they came and they put the dressing. Mix it all together. And this is when really flamenco starts like coming up as a culture, as a form of life. In flamenco we have different in itself. If I want to compare it also with another culture, I would say like some people ask me like why it's so complicated, why it's so hard. So because flamenco is, besides a way of life, it's the whole form of life of the country, of different cultures. So I compare it with Latin rhythms. When you think about Latin rhythms, it's not only, you have merengue, salsa, rumba, cha-cha, guaguancó, son, so many different rhythms. The same with flamenco. And they call it palos, palos of flamenco. So depending on the town, the region, where you're from, we're gonna find like dozens of different rhythms with it. And I'm gonna present tonight different forms of flamenco. The one that you just saw is called alegrías. Alegrías means happiness. So this is why you can feel the guitar getting faster, it's very festive. We are allowed to smile and enjoy it and have fun. The next piece I'm going to perform, it's called seguidillas. Seguidillas is one of the deepest and oldest forms of flamenco. In contrast with alegrías, seguidillas, it's very intense, it's very deep. Usually it's when you hear the singer, like, how would you say that? How do you describe that? When the cante hondo, they call it cante hondo, like very deep singing. So when you start dancing seguidillas, sometimes you can, I don't have words for that, but seguidillas, in other words, I will say that seguidillas is very deep. It's very, in flamenco we have two kind of cante chico and cante hondo. Seguidilla is one of the cante hondo. And now talking about different elements, I'm going to use the mantón, which is the big shawl. It's very popular in seguidillas too. And enjoy it.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the guitar. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Alright. So the flamenco guitar is a beast on its own. Many people compare it to classical guitar, but it's very different. So first of all, the build of the guitar, the strings are much lower to the body than it is with a classical guitar, because with the classical guitar you kind of want a pure, clean, angelic sound, right? For flamenco, you want to get a little bit dirty. That twanginess, that harshness a little bit to it, because flamenco is all about expression, and we got to remember that this was the music of oppressed people, so this was their form of expressing all their angst, all their pains, all their problems. Another difference is the guitar. Many classical guitars will have machine tuners, and here you see I have wooden pegs, and also the sides of a classical guitar will most likely be rosewood. On flamenco guitars, they're mostly cypress or some other cheaper form of wood, because these, again, were people who were outcasted by society, and they didn't always have the resources for the best instruments, so they did what they could to make their instruments cheaper, but then in turn, it kind of became the stylistic sound of flamenco, where the guitar is a lot more, has a lot less sustain. And it's actually, flamenco guitar, it's meant to be percussive as well. So you have the percussive aspect. Because you're trying to accompany the dancer, so it's all about being percussive rather than having something very melodic and musical, which does happen too in flamenco. And another key difference you may notice is I'm using my fingers. So instead of a guitar pick, I have my fingers. You can see I broke a few nails, so there's some plastic nails to replace them. So my fingernails are my guitar picks. And one very cool thing about flamenco that draws a lot of people to flamenco is the techniques used in flamenco. So you have your typical arpeggio. Which is strumming with the hand, and so you can do 8 notes, 1 and 2 and 3 or 4 triplets, 16, or you can do 6 tuplets. There's different ways, and then there's one of my favorites. It's called Asapua. You use the thumb. You can see my thumb's very long. If I lose this thumbnail, I lose my guitar pick. So you see, flamenco guitar, a lot of people have this idea that it's all very romantic and stuff, but it could be very aggressive, it could be very harsh sometimes, but it does have its nice moments too. Solo? Okay. The next piece I'm going to do is called the bulerías, which comes from the word bularse, which means to joke, I guess, right? Goofy, joke around. And the reason for that is because in flamenco, what really makes it flamenco is not just the sound, but the rhythm itself. And you may have noticed from the pieces that we've done, it's not in 4/4 timing. A lot of it is actually in 12s, counted in 12s. And playing flamenco, it's all about knowing that structure and being able to play with it and chop things in half and add on 6 extra beats when you can, and not lose everyone else in the crew with where you are in the compas, the rhythm. So flamenco, if we can give a little quick demonstration, most of the time, you know, you think of flamenco and you think 4/4 music, you know, 1, 2, 1, 2, common rhythm that we're all used to, but flamenco is in 12s, so the rhythm is, the accents are on 12, 3, 6, 8, and 10. So you can see it's a little bit different, it's a little more complicated, and it's not very symmetrical. So if I were to count that up, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it ends on the 10 and starts on the 12. So I hope you guys can remember all this because it's pretty complicated. So the next piece I'm going to play is a composition of my own, and it's in Bolías.
Very good. So, next program, we're going to talk about the elements in flamenco. So, at its core, flamenco consists of toque, which is guitar, cante, singing, which unfortunately we don't have, which is a beautiful singer, very good singer that usually performs, and dance, baile. And like I mentioned before, the music of flamenco is based on different palos or rhythms. So besides this fundament of flamenco, we also have another element. One of them is called, it's another instrument, it's called castanets. So I'm going to talk a little bit about castanets. Castanets, castañuelas, they are an instrument, and usually they are made out of wood, lately fiber. They are made out of fiberglass, and we have. When I say I dance flamenco, most of people, the first thing people do is that, oh, you do this. You do this. Yes, because it's very popular. It's really castanets. They've been around like for thousands, hundreds of years, and the way their name comes from shells, and they have. On my right, I have the female. On my left, I have the male. They have a little mark inside to recognize because one has a different pitch. This one on my right is a little bit higher, the female. On my left, I have the boy, which is a little bit more like tono opaco. So on my left, I keep the rhythm always. I keep the timing. So the left, keep everything in compass, and I will just play with my middle finger or both fingers, and I will just go like this. Just to keep the time. Keep everything in place. Which I don't agree that the boy keeps everything in place. And the girl will always do the talking and goes in between, and I'll use all fingers to go in between. So I'll go. Most of the time, they get along. Sometimes they fight. And that's how we play this. I'm going to invite right now my dear Mimi to the dance. Mimi has been taking lessons with me since she was 4. Very dedicated and talented student from South Beach. Tonight, Mimi is going to perform for us fandangos. In fandangos de Huelva. There are different, like I said, there are different families in different palos, different families. So fandangos is one of those rhythms. And this specific dance form is from Huelva, from the town of Huelva. This is why it's called Fandangos de Huelva. And she's going to perform 3 coplas. And we're going to close with the typical cierre, arrímate, vida mía. And I want I would like to say that the last copla is choreographed by her. It's her own piece.
Wow.
The first two by Ramon Reyes, my instructor in Cambridge. And the last copla is her own work. Okay. So, vamos forward. So the next piece is continue talking about the forms of flamenco. We have a family of forms that they are called de ida y vuelta, back and forth. So as the gypsies and the slaves and everything with all the situation was happening, they traveled to South America and the Caribbean. They used to come back with different rhythms, different influences. So one of those forms is called Guajira. This specific dance form is inspired in Cuban dance. Guajira means girl in Cuba. And all the songs, when you hear Guajira, all the lyrics, they're talking about the plaza, the Cuban, the Habano and Cubano, and smoking and reading the newspaper, having a coffee, relaxing in the plaza, and there comes the girls walking around. And one of the elements very popular in Guajira it's the pan. So the next song I'm going to perform is a guajira, and I'm going to use the pan, and I would like to hear some jaleo. So I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about jaleos. So jaleos, when you go to the theater, everything should be very quiet, right? Somebody sniff and everybody goes like, you're watching the ballet, the concerts. Not in flamenco. In flamenco, you're allowed to encourage the dancer. So if you see something that you like, say, ole, dale, agua, así se baila. So I want to practice a little bit to break the ice. And here's some encouragement from my audience. So the most popular one is ole.
Ole.
So when you see something that you like, what are you going to say?
Ole.
Ole. And jaleos are not randomly like everywhere. So it's at the end of a footwork. When you see a turn that you really say, wow, that reminds me of something. Ole. But not ole, ole, ole. Let's try something different. Agua. Agua means water. It's hot. Water. Agua. So, agua. Ole. Así se baila. That's how you dance. Ole los que tienen arte. Ole for people with art. So, I want to hear some jaleos from now on. my favorite part. Because I'm not going to be the only one dancing. I'm going to ask for volunteers. So, for volunteers, I'm going to do something very simple. Be scared. It's a paddles, and it's called tangos. Nothing to do with the Argentine tango. No, it's very different. It's tangos flamenco. The rhythm is very basic. So let's start with the rhythm, because I see some faces like, what is she talking about? I didn't sign for this. So yes, it's very, yes. So, and now that as I was doing palmas, I just remind myself, palmas. So palmas, what is palmas? Palmas, clapping. In flamenco, we have two ways to clap. We can do sordas, palmas, sordas, left, or mute, and we can do claras, which is like loud. So sordas, we crisscross our hands. So the reason why I want you to try palmas, if you're too shy to dance, you can do palmas from your seat. So let's get you into the rhythm first. So for sordas, everybody crisscross your hands like this. And make sure you have some space in between. So usually this kind of playing, palmas, we just want to keep the rhythm. We don't want to interfere with the guitarist or the dancer. We just want to help with the rhythm and add a little something to the dance. Very good. So those are my sordas. But when the dance, like at this guajira at the end, is very intense and fast, we want to make some, we want to be loud, we want to make some noise here. So we're going to switch to claras. This. So this is claras. And if you want to find your loudest clap, now it is impossible to clap like this because it's gonna be short. It's gonna be short, and but this is like for your instinct is gonna make you do this because okay, you need to have control of this. No, you want to have some space in between your arms and your body. Sit up straight. You can sit down straight. Yes, your palmas at the level of your torso. Not too high, not too low. Right there. And now let's start learning a rhythm. Tangos flamencos. So for tangos, we're gonna have four beats. One is gonna be strong and three soft. I'm gonna help you with the stomping for the strong. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. For the closing of the rhythm, we're going to switch to claras with this one. And I'm going to do something that maybe you have heard before in Latin rhythms. I'm from Dominican Republic. So in the Latin rhythm, it's called la clave. It's clara. Let's do a little combination. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4. more time. Yes, to practice it. 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Eat. Very good. Now, talking about dancing, flamenco. Another reason why it's a challenge is because you have to work and combine, coordinate a lot of elements at the same time. You need to have your chest up, shoulders down, unlock your knees, chin up, posture. Bullfighter posture is the most. And good rhythm. You have to learn how to spot your head and so many things at the same time. And on top of that, you need to be able to move your hands without stopping. Yes, it's kind of this. So at the same time you're dancing with your feet, doing this fast footwork, very impressive footwork, from your torso up, you have to look like nothing is happening. You have to be here and going crazy with your footwork. But it's what makes it very powerful and elegant and passionate. So I'm going to talk a little bit about hands. My hands, they move inside, hacia adentro. Pueden ir también hacia afuera, outside. So it's just two basic moves. Inside, but only your hands. Because at the beginning we start doing this. It's from here. So we're going inside and outside. Sometimes I can just go in, or I can go out, or I can go in, out, in, out. Nothing impossible with a practice. Okay. So now it's time for my volunteers. If you don't want to come right here, you can just stand up wherever you are. Yeah.
I'll I'm sorry.
Two more.
Come on. Don't even hurt. Come on, do what you
It's very easy. It's very simple. Just couple of steps. It's going to be very simple. Very simple. Okay, so for my audience, I have a bunch of palmeros. Palmeros son los que tocan palmas. So I'm going to ask your help with the music. And we're going to do some tango flamenco. But first, we know the rhythm. In flamenco, the rules about learning is first you have to learn the rhythm because you need to know what you're going to dance for. Then, footwork. Confident with the footwork, hands. Confident with the hands, head, and out. Yeah. Okay? We have the rhythm. We have the rhythm. So, footwork. So, for footwork, we're going to do very simple. Just going to mark to the side and come back. Then left. Nice and simple. So, 1, ta, 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 2, ta, ta. Part, remember the clave, the claras, pa, 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 pa. So I'm going to do this with golpe. Golpe is this. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, y 1, para, 2, 3, 4, 4 more, 1, clap together, clap, now golpe y very good, very good. Now, hands. Getting good. So let's go. Same time, you tap. We're going out. So let's do that. Out and together. And hand by your hips. Oh, that's going to help you. Lot. Out, together. Out, together. 8 more. 1, 2,
Can I touch you?
Almero, 5, 6, 7, y. Okay, so next I'm going to talk a little bit about footwork. For footwork, we have 5 main elements. We use 5 main steps. The first one is called golpes. So all these beautiful combinations that you see, all this super fast and powerful, it's coming everything from 5 basic steps. The first one is called golpe, which is this. The second one is called tacón. We have 2 heels, low heel, tacón bajo. This is bending. And we have tacón alto, high heel. The next one is very common. It's called planta. And the last one is punta. Sideways or straight. So all the combinations, they come from this main foot. For example, in one escobilla, we can go. So everything is coming from those 5 main steps. Any questions so far? footwork. So, I'm sorry?
I said, you must go through a lot of shoes.
I still have my favorite ones, and trust me. Okay, so let's dance some sevillanas now. So for sevillanas, I continue with the forms of flamenco. It's from Sevilla, and sevillana is very popular. I've heard that it's the base of flamenco. So there's a lot of like different opinions. Some people say it's not flamenco, but for some reason all the flamenco schools around the world start teaching sevillanas because it has a little bit of everything. Like in sevillana, you're gonna see footwork, castanets, heads, arms, and hands, and expression. They say it's a story of love, and we're gonna see 4 parts. The first part is when the couple meets. The second one, they fall in love. The third one is the argument, and the last one, reconciliation. So at the end of every sevillana, I would like to hear some jaleos. Do you remember what is a jaleo? Yeah? Ole! Agua! Exactly. So sevillanas is supposed to be danced by couple. We're going to do a different formation. And I'm going to play my castanets for sevillanas. So now we'd like to take 10 minutes break, and we'll be back with a closing with the cierre. The troop, very small troop. Very small troop today, yeah, we're three of today. For tonight we have Cameron. Thank you so much, Anthony Tran, for coming. Thank you so much for coming. It was a very nice audience.
Yeah.
And
We'll see you next year.
enjoy it.
Thank you again to the coach for coming for this.
Okay.